All right, so here's this monstrosity once again, freezing up. Our loop is at 1.6C because I am going to compete with myself. Tired of all the extra cables in your system? Well, Fractal Design has you covered with their new Ion series power supplies. Available in a variety of sizes and wattages, the new fully modular Ion Plus series of power supplies have what you need for clutter-free reliability. To learn more, click the link below. So we learned a lot when I did the overclocking thing with Steve and Kingpin at the EVGA anniversary bash thing where we overclocked for like 8 hours only to be beat by Kingpin in 10 minutes. But anyway, I don't remember what any of my CPU settings were, and the problem was last time when we beat Steve with this setup, I didn't have a lot of time to dial in the CPU. So we did like kind of a crude, I think 5.0 or 5.1. I don't remember. I feel like I have to go back and watch my own video. I don't remember what the settings were. And I didn't save any profiles because I'm dumb. This is not a tutorial though. What I'm trying to do right here is I want to see if I can improve upon our previous score. In fact, I don't even know where we are right now in the Hall of Fame, so let me see. We're talking about specifically 2x 2X graphics cards or SLI, Titan RTX cards, and I don't remember where we ended up. I think last time we were number 5, but the gap between number 5 and 4 is like 700 points. That's not gonna happen today. But that's okay, I wanna see if I can beat our 17,162. Steve has not fired back. I don't think he's planning on it, but that's okay. Let's see where we can end up. Wait, the computer restarted unexpectedly or encountered an unexpected errors. Window installation cannot proceed. To install Windows, click OK to restart the computer and then restart the installation. So I guess we're reinstalling Windows and potentially having to get more ice by the time we're done with this. Windows worked perfectly fine last time and shut it down and put it away. Same drive, same motherboard, same CPU. We got Windows installed. That's good. This is what we have to contend with here. 17,162. I just want to see if I could beat that. Based on what I learned with Kingpin and the memory overclocking when it comes to the RTX stuff, I wasn't pushing the memory nearly far enough, so I think we might be able to actually get an increase in our GPU score. But I need to get our CPU score to at least match what we were, and that was 17,605. I'm gonna go ahead and just run 1 right now. So I can see where our CPU score is. All I've done so far when it comes to the CPU is our 3175X is overclocked to 5 gigs, all cores, chilled water. The loop is sitting right here at 2.7C. But anyway, what we've got here is the fact that we lost a lot of our ice. If there's still ice in here, then the water still hasn't absorbed all of the energy, which means we're still all right. We don't have any salt in there. I've never tried salt, but I look at it this way. Though the couple of degrees I might be able to get reduction in temperature is not the make or break difference of the scores that we're getting. To get better scores, we'd have to go much lower than 0C. So I'm just gonna do a CPU test right now. What I started to say is 5 gigahertz all core on the CPU, 1.3 volts. We've got the RAM running at 3400. Anything higher than that, we tend to start getting weird errors and stuff, but we'll play around with it. 1.35 volts on the RAM, not XMP timings. The timings are very loose right now. One of the things we learned through the competition when Steve and I were messing around is that tight timings heavily benefit the score in Time Spy Extreme. So what I want to see right now is just where we are with our CPU set to these very conservative settings. Okay, so 17,068 with an average of 20.5. So again, if we look at our Hall of Fame results, I think that this was down like 17 or something like that. So you can see that we definitely have some room to make up for. Come on, go. Okay, here we go. So, I'm gonna try 2 things. I'm gonna go straight to 51. I'm gonna go 32 on our cache ratio without changing memory. I don't think I got 5.1 to work last time. I think we crashed or we saw diminished return. The crazy part about this is it's only been about 3 months since we did this last time, and I cannot remember anything that I did. I cannot remember any of the settings. I cannot remember the scores. I can't remember. So it's like I'm doing it again for the first time. So I want to see what our score came up to. It was like 17,060 something. And by adding another 100 megahertz, I'm curious as to what the score is going to do. We do know the CPU score is very heavy towards RAM speed. RAM speed, not to be confused with Rammstein. Du hast mich. All right, so we're seeing 17 milliseconds there for a second. Our core package temp is at 51, 52, and crash. I don't think we got 5.1 to ever run last time, if I remember correctly, but I'm gonna try the brute force method by giving it a tiny bit more voltage because we have lots of CPU temperature headroom in that test. I wouldn't exactly fire up Prime 95, if you know what I mean, because it would take Prime 0.95 seconds to blow up. 1.35. If I change more than one thing at a time, I won't know if it was voltage or cache that fixed the problem. So then if I brought the cache down to 30 and it was the voltage all along, then I could be losing out on 200 megahertz cache, which makes a big difference. Yeah, I don't think 5.1 is gonna work, which really sucks. Dang, it locked up to where even the reset button ain't doing anything. So that got us to 17,137 on our CPU by dropping it back down to 5.0 gigahertz, but going up to a 32 multiplier on the cache. So I think I'm gonna try bumping up multiplier or the cache as far as I can before I start playing with the memory. It's important to remember too that this memory is still running non-XMP timing, so they're very loose. Lots of things we can play with there. So what I did in between right now, because 5.1 wasn't gonna happen, we left the cache at 3.2, but I also tightened up the timings a little bit. I brought down, I can't remember which one it is, it was like a 38, brought down to a 30. And then I also increased the refresh time, and then I made it so it goes through 32 gigs of RAM before it swaps or releases and renews, or starts writing RAM again. So what we're trying to do is just speed up the memory. I also brought down the core only 10 megahertz, but I brought up the memory 100. So we're fairly close to what we were last time we got our 17,000 whatever score that got us number 5 on the Hall of Fame. Now we're not gonna get number 4. That's not gonna happen. There's like 700 or 800 points between us or something like that. Or at least 600 points. And that's gonna take, to get 600 more points would take a core clock that we cannot get on ice water, nor can we get on a reference Titan PCB. So now we're getting ready to do CPU right here, which should validate with no problem, but this is gonna be the first time we're testing those RAM settings. These are some of the things I didn't get a chance to really do last time. Interestingly enough too, you're seeing this RGB Royal RAM. Typically, RGB RAM is terrible for overclocking because the lights and the controller in there take power. And when you overclock the RAM to its limit, every millivolt matters. But when I asked G.Skill to send us more RAM so that we could test, they sent us this when I was like, hey, I need something fast. Like last time, the last RAM they sent us had no lights in it whatsoever. They sent us this. So far, it seems like it's doing okay because it's going faster than the last set that we had, which was the Corsair Dominator. But then again, that was only 3,000 megahertz DIMMs. These are 3,600. So already right off the bat, they're faster out of the box. So what that means is they are not going to be pushing themselves nearly as hard to try and achieve the scores that we were with the Corsair RAM. Oh yeah, 16,932. So we're like 200 points behind. Ironically enough, if you look at our CPU score, we're almost where we were, but we're not where we were. That's a problem we're trying to fix right now. All right, well, good news, we had to beat a 17,605. We're at 17,621 on our CPU score. I have not made the timings as tight as they could be yet. I've upped it to 3,800 megahertz, which is nowhere near where the Dominator could get. I think I said I got 3,400 or so last time, so 400 extra megahertz. Timings are still more relaxed than they were with the Corsair because I've got to start wide and dial everything in. This is part of the tuning that takes forever. But now we know we've got our CPU back up to where it was. So what I'm gonna do right now, because I'm curious, by doing some testing here with our GPU, I pulled our core back a little bit, but I brought our memory up to 1200. One of the things Kingpin taught me was, look, if you start farting around with the memory in between, you get all kinds of weirdness. If you just go to the max, a lot of times you shoot past this error territory and go right to where then suddenly it starts working again, which is weird because that just seems so counterintuitive to me. But I guess it has everything to do with ratios and math. And I'm not good at math. Ugh, we're not gaining anything. Look, we got even a little bit more CPU, but we're not, our GPU is not cooperating. So what I'm doing now is I'm wanting to see what's affecting our score most right now. I want to see if it's memory, and I want to see, or if it's core. So what I did is I pulled the core back even more and added more memory. So I just sort of went extreme right now. Way more memory, a bit less core, because I want to see if we see the problem exacerbate. If it does, then we'll know that we need to go the other direction. So this is with 1300 megahertz overclock to the memory. And you can see right now our FPS is even more stable than it was before. Look at this, it's only bouncing 1 or 2 FPS right there. Extremely smooth, no artifacts. So it looks like the artifacts that we were seeing were actually more core related than memory. So now what we're gonna try is leaving the core where it's at and pushing the memory as far as I can. So these are sometimes you've got to kind of go extreme, like you've got to test one direction, not the band, and then you've got to swap it like 180 and then measure what happened. And then if you see a better improvement going one direction, then you start to go from, you go outward from there. So there's no point if you see no improvement in trying like hammering it, more core, and you're not seeing an improvement, stop doing that and try something else. And that's exactly what we're doing here. Crazy, we're not gaining anything. Oh yeah, look at that. See, all that artifacting is core. And look at the FPS, it's like, no, like freaks out. No, oh no. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna go ahead and shut the system down, let it do a power cycle. Let's see what happens, because that wasn't good. So we just got our highest CPU score yet, 17,679. It's only about 70 points higher than our best, 74 points or whatever. That's not gonna change our score at all. That just tells me I got the CPU back to where it's gonna be. I don't think we're gonna ever get any more out of this CPU at 3.5C. So what I kinda wanna do right now is I sort of just wanna use Heaven once again. And I want to sort of monitor what our clock behavior is. So that's showing 2190 with a plus 220, plus 200. It brings it down to 2175. I think I want to try it with 185 on our core. So yeah, it's bouncing all around, which is normal, but in GT2, all over the place. So I can't match my old score. It could have everything to do with the fact that my cards could be in the wrong order, meaning I don't know which card was the better card last time, which is stupid. I should have been able to tell. One is a clear block, one is a black block. It would have been easy to keep track of that. I'm allergic to failure. Let's try Port Royal. Port Royal. That's a Port Royal run. Not the Port Royal. I like land. Aww. Well, unfortunately, our ice is melting and our temperatures are slowly creeping up. And Port Royal, for whatever reason, even though I paid $2.99, will not launch. Even with all stock settings, it just immediately says, oops, an error has occurred. So we'll have to look into that and do another video later, I guess. But this video is kind of a crapshoot. I kind of thought we could at least match our previous score. Not even close. And I do think it's because the cards are in the opposite order. I do think the card that's on top right now with the monitor attached to it is crashing sooner because the other card's probably the better one, and whatever card's in the top slot is gonna be under the most load. But what this video at least was able to show you is just some of the methodology that goes into testing these types of setups, where it's like constant tweaking of small values here and there from the CPU to the GPU, and how you can slowly, incrementally increase your scores by doing run after run after run. You can also see how if you get an error and then you immediately turn around and run again, and we're getting a lot hotter now with 10.3 on the loop. That's the warmest it's been yet so far. CPU is currently sitting at 47 during this test. So yeah, it's we're out of ice. The ice is melted now. Now it's just warming up because the loop is now putting more energy into the water than the water can dissipate, or at least that the water can absorb, I should say. And so yeah, but you can see how even through an error, rerunning the test, an error can persist. But this is one of the reasons why I didn't put this setup inside my system, my new personal rig, simply because we wanted to be able to keep using it for tests and stuff like this. So I'm sorry that this video sucked, but I have a couple of ideas that I'd like to do for videos coming up, and I want you guys to tell me if you're interested in them, and you guys can comment down below to tell me yes or no. I'm thinking about a bare budget, minimum possible dollar amount spent to play World of Warcraft Classic. Apparently that's making a huge comeback. Tons of people are playing it, to the point where the queues are thousands of players long to get into the game, with like 500-minute waits on some servers being completely full. which means the game is back. And I'm curious if you guys want to see what the cheapest possible build would be to run that, considering the specs are still exactly what they were in 2004, because it is a re-roll of the exact same code from back in the day. And also the very same thing for the game Control. A lot of people are talking about Control because it's the first game that's using all three of the technologies baked into RTX. And I'm telling you right now that it takes a lot of horsepower to run that. So I'm wondering if you guys are interested at all in content around those types of budget builds. But you guys know what to do. Sound off in the comments below. And again, I'm sorry this video sucked, but it's what I had planned, and it's unfortunately how it went. And it crashed.